Let your imagination soar with Audible. With stories across every genre, from expert advice to fantasy, you'll be inspired to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. Listening can even lead to a positive change in your mood, habits, and overall well-being. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including bestsellers and new releases. Allow yourself to delve into the spooky this season by listening to classics like Stephen King's The Shining and Pet Sematary. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500 500. That's audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500 500.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly minisode where we dig into the things that we've been watching and playing. I'm Terry.
I'm Mary Beth. This week we're talking about The Moment Terry Screamed, Haunted Houses, The Inner Horror of Ham, and Accidental Marriage and Funky Juice. Quick updates. I did beat Wario Land 4, everyone.
Did you?
I had a great time with that. I beat that. Now I am playing WarioWare and have downloaded a bunch of Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color games to play on my computer as I travel these next couple of days to Nightmares Film Festival. So...
And why are you traveling to Nightmares Film Festival?
Bystanders is playing there. We are nominated for best film and best director, which is me. And we play on Sunday at 2:30. So come hang if you're in the area. I'm really stoked for us to be part of the fest. I'm really excited to be there. When the podcast is out, I will be in Columbus, hanging out. So if you are there, come say hi.
Yeah. Also, as a quick update, I am still playing Metaphor. I am about 25 hours into it, and it's still amazing. So,
very good.
Go check out that demo, everyone.
What did you do? How?
What just happened?
She found something on my floor and pulled it out and was throwing it around by the strings, and it's this weird press kit thing. Anyway. Also, I almost finished Teacup. I've got 2 more episodes left, and it's really good. So,
yeah.
Power through.
Yeah.
Did you power through?
No, I didn't watch more.
Okay, well, power through. I promise it's worth it. Anyway.
I really want to.
All right, well... With that update out of the way, what made you scream?
Yeah, so I know you've seen this one. I think you saw it at Fantastic Fest, and you told me that it was good, and then I forgot that it was out on Shudder. I watched Daddy's Head.
Oh boy. Okay.
And I screamed at least twice in this movie.
Okay.
The first one is probably one of my favorite scares in recent memory, just because it's so dark and I'm trying to figure out what is happening, and then something moves really quickly and I was not expecting it, and I screamed. This movie got me. This movie has some impeccable scares in it. So Daddy Said, for those that aren't aware, which is a very, I don't know, as a gay man, is a very weird title.
Oh yeah.
Because I always think about back to the Elvira bit of where someone asks her, "How's your head?" after she gets hurt, and she's like, "Haven't had any complaints yet." Yeah, so that's... Anyway, so this is Daddy's Head, about a boy and his stepmother, who the boy is now orphaned. His OG mom passed away at some point before the movie started, and then the movie opens with his dad's death from, it looks like, a car accident maybe, and his head was demolished.
Daddy's head dead.
Yeah.
It felt better in my mind, and it did not sound good out loud, so.
I'm here for it, though. So, this movie got me starting to think about the fact that there are a lot of architects in horror movies. What is up with that? Because we have the father, the dead father was an architect in here. But then I'm also thinking about The Night House, that was about an architect, and thinking about Orphan, where the father is an architect. I feel like there's I'm sure there are more too, but those are the ones that immediately jump to mind, and it just makes me think how many films have an architect in it as like horror?
I feel like it's such an opportunity to like have an excuse for like a cool house or an eccentric house or something like that. Like I feel like that was especially true with like this one and the Night House. I feel like when something you're like, why would they live in a house like this? Or why does it look like that? Them being a particular occupation is like, oh yeah, that's why like they're eccentric kind of situation or like you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like it gives a good reason for weird like kind of architectural horror, which I think is really interesting. Yeah, Cat People did have architects. They were architects in Cat People.
Okay.
Purpurina.
Yeah. Purpurina says no one knows what they do. We can explain away how much or little they work. And that was so I had skeeted about this on Blue Sky. And
You had what? You skeeted?
Skeeted.
The fuck are you talking about? You what? What do you mean? What do you mean you skeeted? I'm sorry. What on God's green earth are you saying to me?
Back in the early days of Blue Sky, people kept calling it skeeting. They're like, what do we call it over here? And so instead of tweeting, skeeting. Sorry, Purpurina. I'm normalizing it because it makes me giggle every time I say it. But anyway, so I was posting over on Blue Sky, and Half Price Horror basically said the same thing, Purpurina, where it's like you can make a ton of money, but actual work is poorly understood enough that you just have them disappear from the office for days at a time without their income being affected, and the audience will buy it, which is probably true. It's just it's weird to me. It was like a realization, is this like another architect? But anyway, he's dead. Son does not like stepmom. Stepmom did not want to be a mom. She was just in it for the dude. And I think partly for the dude, partly probably because of the opportunities that it provided her. You get a little hint that maybe her life was not the greatest beforehand. And so now that they are wallowing in grief together in this opulent house in the middle of nowhere, weird things start to happen. And then the kid starts to see potentially his dad. And it goes from there, and I don't want to spoil anything. I will just say this movie is a slow burn that is punctuated by some really incredible scenes of horror and tension and jump scares. Like, this is a movie that does jump scares correctly to build tension, relieve it, and then start building it back up again. This movie is fantastic. I absolutely loved every moment of it, and there's some images that I still am seeing in my head. Like, it has some indelible visual horror in this, as well as some things that feel like Uncanny Valley in like a good way. And it's terrifying. I am jealous that you got to see this on a big screen, Mary Beth, because this is a theater movie.
Yeah, I really love seeing this at Fantastic Fest. It was a movie that I was like, people were like, oh, are you going to go to this event? I'm like, nah, man, I'm going to go see Daddy's Head. And it was like the only theater that had it, and I was so excited. Yeah, because the title makes you laugh, but it was such a bizarre experience, and like I don't fully understand what happened. Like, honestly, I just like don't fully understand. But I got to talk to the director, and I don't know if anyone is familiar with Rubber Johnny. It's an Aphex Twin like music video that they did with Chris Cunningham.
I've heard of you talking about this.
Yeah, and so the guy, Chris Cunningham, who did Rubber Johnny, did the suits in this. So he's like a surrealist performance artist type situation. So, like, the suits and the movement was very much inspired by something that was very kind of, like, formative for me as a teenager. So that was really cool to see. I really liked it, too. I thought, it's got that kind of it's got that like British trauma horror in the woods vibe, but there's like it's just weird enough that it feels different. I
think the other thing,
love the ending, but that's just me. That's just me though.
Yeah, I get that. I think the other thing that makes us kind of feel fresh though is that a lot of times from this perspective, we either are dealing with like the mom who is losing her mind in this kind of situation, or it's the kid. But their journeys are similar but different at the same time. And so it's sort of like seeing it from both their perspectives, where neither of them are necessarily like the villain, but neither of them are kind of the hero. They're just two people that are suffering, but it's happening. It's like two kind of journeys that we see in films kind of put together. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because, like, again, we always see the evil stepmother, or even if it's just from the kid's perspective, the evil stepmother, but here we get that split perspective. And again, I spoke to the director, and, like, it's very much about, like, him reflecting on his parents' own divorce and, like, his own experience, like, going through divorce with his parents when he was, like, that age. And honestly, watching this is, like, another example of why I'm so glad my parents split up when I was so young. Because I honestly do believe that my parents did the right thing of just saying, like, we can't, like, put our kid through this. And, like, I am forever thankful for that. Like, I've never in my life regretted my parents making that decision, because they were, like, absolutely miserable fucks together. And, like, so this movie, I don't know where I was going with that, but it was just, like, this movie kind of made me reflect upon that, like, that kind of experience and step-parents and divorce, and being glad of having that experience of navigating not this kind of situation where it's just like you and a step parent, but that was always a fear I had. Like, if I was left with a stepmom, like, my stepdad rocked, but like my dad's choice in women has like, anyway, but yeah, so this movie like definitely hits. If you are a child of divorce, you'll definitely feel it hit in a couple places for sure.
Yeah, and there's a great moment of found footage aesthetics in this too that I was like noping my way out of.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, I wish they had used more of that, honestly. But
Me
that's
too.
Obviously me. But like, there was some really cool shit with that.
Yeah, it's on Shudder. It's on AMC Plus right now. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It scared me, and that doesn't happen very often anymore.
It's a good weird Halloween pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuing with that Halloween vibe, let's talk about haunted houses.
Okay, so everyone is familiar with the houses October Built from 2014, the found footage movie. Have you seen it, Terry? Are you?
I have seen that one. I don't remember much about it, but
okay. But they're making a haunted house documentary. They're trying to find like a creepy haunted, like the scariest haunted houses, and they end up finding like some like real fucked up shit. So that is the 2014 film. But unbeknownst to most people, including myself until very recently, there is a 2011 version. I'm trying to think of like if I spoil something or not. But let's say like, okay, so if you're really interested in seeing Houses October Built 2011, it is a very different movie, and I'm going to just have to give some spoilers here. So if you don't want any spoilers, please skip. Because again, this is a very different movie, and there's some stuff I'm going to say that'll like kind of spoil the experience. Anyway, and you'll understand why I'm saying this. But basically, it was sold to me via email as a documentary, and basically like the guys who made the Houses October Built made a documentary first that was about haunts. And I was like, oh, sick. Okay. There was like, they like made a haunt documentary, and they got an idea for a found footage movie that actually sounds like pretty like that A to B to C kind of makes sense to me. So I watched it, and I was like, oh, cool, this is interesting. I can see like where they pulled bits of the 2014 movie, but it feels really real. It's like all blown out. It's like not really great. Like the quality isn't great. It's just, it feels very rough. And then the third act happens, and it no longer might be a documentary. And it was a really unique experience, because I legitimately thought it was a documentary until the end, when stuff happens and it kind of reveals itself to be maybe tricking you. And it's never really been out before. And they finally are putting it out with Shudder. And it's really cool to kind of watch them together and see how they made it more like of a studio film versus a really rough thing that they were trying to make in like a post Paranormal Activity world. and trying to really trick people, like to the point where they played at Screamfest and people like were lecturing them afterward for like being irresponsible because they believed so much that that was a real documentary. So there's like
Wow.
something really interesting there, and I think really smart. And it's on Shudder right now. So I would highly recommend checking that out too.
Do do you have a preference for which version now that you've seen both of them? Or are they just such a different?
Um like if you want a more polished like narrative that's like a horror movie, definitely The House is October Built 2014. Because that one, while it has the found footage structure of like building up to scares, it's a little bit more consistent. Like the scares start pretty early and pretty consistently because again, it's trying to be like a supernatural found footage movie, whereas The House is October Built 2011 is much more of a documentary slow burn where it's like, oh, it's just a documentary about like tiny haunt attractions in like the Southwest, but then it takes a turn.
Okay.
So it depends on what you're in the mood for. If you want something that feels real and like is very much like, oh fuck, it's the 2011 one. But if you want more of a conventional like scary paranormal supernatural found footage movie, then you should check out 2014.
See, I think I might try to give the 2011 one a go because I it's been a very long time since I've seen it. I think probably when it first came out, so probably 10 years. I remember not really caring for it because it felt a little too polished. It felt a little too like it did not convince me that this was, anything real. So like I'm
Yeah,
curious of
so
how I'm curious how I would feel about the first one or the original.
yeah, watch it. Give it a try.
Okay.
Again, it's like kind of a slow burn, but it really packs a punch at the end, I think.
Cool.
So yeah, highly recommend that one. And again, that's like a perfect Halloween vibe movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't inner horror of Ham. I don't know how this relates to anything, so I'm just like, I don't know. Tell me
It
now.
this is okay. I I don't know how to describe this game that I've played. And to the point where like I was pulling up reviews to like try to get my thoughts together on this absolutely brilliant bit of comedy that is called Thank Goodness You're Here. It starts out where with like an advertisement for something called Peens, which are not quite peas, not quite beans, but something delicious in betweens, and has a song. And then you play as this very miniature man who is being sent to some fictitious town in northern England. You get the assignment, and you immediately jump out of the 10 floor window to leave. You don't go out the door. You jump out there, and it cuts to like this archival footage of like coal mines and red brick houses and people scurrying about market stalls with like real footage, and then you are in this fictitious town where everyone says thank goodness you're here, and you sort of start to explore the town, and there's not a whole lot to like do necessarily. Like you can jump and you interact with everything by hitting it, like slapping it. So if you want to talk to someone, you kind of slap them. If you want to open a door, you slap it. It's like that is the only controls you have, and it's basically like just sending you on this surreal adventure where you end up at one point a giant piece of ham, well, to you a giant piece of ham because you are really small, falls on you, and you get sucked into this cosmic horror place where there's this mound of ham goo in the middle, and as you start to like hit things around it, it starts to like turn into like almost society level creature thing that ends up devouring you. At one point you're trying to jump up to the ham, and you end up in the meat grinder, and you end up creating this very long sausage looking like thing that ends up in someone's lap, and she draws a face on it. At one point, two flowers are professing their undying love to each other while you are mowing in the background, and as they get to the climax of them professing their love, you run them over with the lawnmower. At one point, there's this guy that is having a mental breakdown and is throwing stuff in his store, and as you get up to him, all of a sudden we are seeing his life up to that point from his perspective in like a animated cutscene. This game is so fucking unhinged, but so fucking funny. I It has this brand of absurdist surreal humor that really is something that tickles my funny bone, and it just goes. It just keeps going, and you're like, what am I experiencing? It makes me feel like you're probably like high or something. It's like, what is even happening here? Am I in the real world? It's beautifully animated. Matt Berry voices a character in it. Matt Berry from yeah.
Arizonia. From What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes. He's in it. It's this absurdist game about this small New England or like English town. It's completely unlike anything I've ever played. It feels like something that you would maybe experience on Adult Swim in the middle of the night, in terms of like absurdity.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it is just there's this one point where like, because the town, you basically go through this very kind of self-contained town, and it's full of little scenes, but there's always something to do, always something new to see. And one of the times you keep passing this fence with a hole in it, and someone is looking in it, and he just keeps pushing sausages through the hole at you.
Oh, the illustration style is incredible.
Yeah.
It looks like Chowder, or like not Adventure Time, a Steven Universe, like that kind of animation style.
Yeah, it's the funniest game I've ever played. I have laughed out loud so many times while playing this, to the point where I'm like, I don't understand what madness created this game, because it does not feel like a person created this. It feels like it has somehow just come to be, and we have the joy of experiencing it.
This looks incredible.
It's only about like 2.5 hours, I think, 2 to 3 hours probably, but it is.
Okay. So it's short.
It's delightful. It is absolutely delightful, especially if you like absurdist and surreal humor. Then I definitely recommend this one. It's out on PC through Steam. It's on Switch. It's on PlayStation, and it is indescribable. Yeah. If any of this made any sense, I am really happy, because I was like, how the fuck do I talk about this game? It is probably one of my favorite experiences that I played this year, but it is impossible to explain in any sort of...
Oh, sorry.
Just in any rational way, it's impossible to explain.
Is it by the same people who did Untitled Goose Game?
So, no, but they compare the humor to it.
Okay. I think they're selling a bundle or something too, so...
Okay, that's probably true. I think they've only made 2 games. They made one called Good Time Garden, which looks very similar to this. Okay. I'm now noticing, and I'm gonna have to like get this one too, because so like the Good Time Garden synopsis on Steam says, explore a throbbing pink world full of strange naked creatures to gather food for your friend in this short surreal experience. Wild. But yeah, I totally recommend this game unabashedly. It is weird. It is weird in the best way. Speaking of surreal humor and absurdistness, can we talk about Accidental Marriage and Liz Lemon's favorite alcoholic drink, Funky Juice, which is white wine, Sprite, and ice cubes? Delicious. I hear she keeps a thermos of it by her toilet.
Fascinating. Fascinating. What a series of episodes. We have Liz Lemon and Jack accidentally getting married when Jack gets married to Avery, because they signed the paper, and then they fight over the divorce papers for better worker rights, basically.
Yep. Yep.
And they fight over workers' rights, which involves getting Tracy's wife a Real Housewives style show featuring Titus Andromedon himself
As Daphwan. I love Daphwan. It makes me sad that he's only in like a handful of episodes. But he is a delight. And this is the reason why I think 30 or not 30 Rock, reason why Kimmy Schmidt exists. Like it's because of his character on here that he got to do Kimmy Schmidt. What did you think about Mrs. Donaghy? A lot to do with families and married life.
Yes, definitely felt it in my heart with the HR. Whenever they incorporate the HR guy who's just like kind of incompetent but like trying to be funny, like
Who
definitely
has the best name? Wiener Slave.
Wiener Slave. Oh my god. But then just like again, like a lot of like trying to set up like a romance between Liz and Jack, but there isn't actually anything. They're just like, no, we just are good friends, really. Like that's pretty much it. That's all we want. But then there's like the funny parallel of Jenna and Cheyenne Jackson's character like sharing a room and hating each other, and then them like divorcing with Kenneth as like their little child.
Did you draw that? You should get some help because that is terrible for an adult.
I love it. Hang it up, Kenneth.
Don't coddle the boy. Or when like when they're having their quote unquote divorce, and he's like saying that Danny's like saying I'm gonna leave, and Kenneth's like I don't understand, and they're like well, and he's trying to explain. He's like no, this is your dressing room. I don't understand why you're leaving.
I'm gonna go sleep at the Y. But then also, Pete just continues to suck so much ass.
He does.
He just, like...
He does.
Is the absolute worst. Talking about Kit,
yeah.
I don't know. Just, like, just his whole thing. He's a talk with Kenneth that I absolutely despise. I was like, I just wish this character was not in this show. Like, he does not add anything. He does not enrich anything. I just don't think he is a good addition to the show, and he sucks. And that's all I have to say about that.
He does suck. He started out like back in season 1 as being like that sort of middle manager kind of character, but like as the show has gone along, he's just a gross guy, and I don't like him either.
Foul, and like is constantly talking about how much he hates women and his wife and how miserable he is because like his wife is like fat, and I'm like, okay, but what? Like that's it? Okay, like sick. It's just,
yeah.
I know it's the time period, but it just sucks. And a show that's like actually pretty funny despite the time period, like he just fucking dates it so bad.
He really does. Really, I did love Liz's accent when she is pretending to be Mrs. Donaghy, and is like, because she's basically blackmailing him, and it's really funny because he's like, "Are you blackmailing me? You really should think hard if you want to blackmail me." And then later on, she's like basically giving away $5 million of his dollars for the arts. What is art?
Puppetry. Giving it away for children to learn arts and puppetry. Oh, that was
He's
so
like,
funny.
We know what art is. It's paintings of horses.
Horses. Do you know how many calls I had to make to fix your mess? Oh, it was beautiful. Nothing says holding a Republican hostage like having them look like good people donating to the arts.
Uh-huh. But I also love that we get a little bit of what the Queen of Jordan is going to look like. It's my way till payday. Her little catchphrases. I love that this is, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to show this one, because it like starts the Queen of Jordan, which we will get a full episode of the next time we record. And it is an absolute delight. So it's never too late. It's never too late for now is probably one of my favorite, like literally one of my favorite episodes of the entire show, because it does one of the things that I think 30 Rock does incredibly well when it does it. It doesn't do it very often, but where it takes like a subject and then makes an episode that represents or replicates that subject. We saw that with like MILF Manor back in season 2, where we're talking about MILF Manor, but then the entire show becomes like as if they were playing MILF Manor. And we saw it a little bit with the live show that embraces sort of the live element to it and makes a show about being live, also being live. And we're going to see it with Queen of Jordan, where it replicates the sort of Housewives of X type of narrative and format. But this one, and it's something that I think is so smart, because I didn't even realize how far the joke goes, because I had never read nor seen Murder on the Orient Express until recently. And the way this episode unfolds, like, I just thought, oh, it's funny because it's the murder mystery that ends up having her solve what's going on with her. But no, the ending of this episode is, spoiler alert for Murder on the Orient Express, the ending of that book / movie. Like, it follows that sort of like resolution absolutely perfect, in a way that makes it so that we are actually watching the Murder on the Orient Express in an episode of television. It's so smart, and it's such a well-crafted joke and a well-plotted episode that it's one of my absolute favorites. But I'm curious what you thought of this episode where Liz gets her groove back.
Oh my god, Liz gets her groove back. I just love the beginning. It makes me just think of like the whole like childless cat lady shit that we're all joking about now, but her coming in with her cat that she adopted, that she's named Emily Dickinson, and she can fit the cat's whole head in her mouth. And I was just, I also, like, I'm going to be perfectly real with you. I think I was tired watching this and did not fully clock that it was Murder on the Orient Express as an episode, to be perfectly honest with you. That's on me for being tired and watching this. But I did enjoy it. I did find it, the editor and her outfit, I love her, like that. And it was really funny is that, like, the women that are like that in that industry do look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like my favorite thing. Anyway. Oh, hello.
I love the lines where Jenna comes running over to her and she's like, I'm not going to let you, devolve into spinsterhood. And she's like, why are you talking so fast? And she's like, I'm upset. Oh, and I'm taking these Czechoslovakian organ
slimming pills.
They have a little bit of meth in it, which my body needs anyway. Just like the things that come out of her mouth.
Oh, they're so good. And the whole episode, Liz has like a literal chip clip in her hair, and she's wearing a pink New York hoodie underneath her jacket. And she still pulls a hottie. You know what I mean? Like, she's got something. She's got, like, weird girl riz, which I, like, respect. You know what I mean? And then also everyone's least favorite character, Pete, and everyone's second least favorite character, Frank, make a band together.
It's never too late for now. Again, we're showcasing Tina Fey's husband's fantastic music writing. I love
Sound Mound. Terrible name.
And when they're I wish I could hear the lyrics better, but when they're in the nightclub and there's like this soft music playing in the background, like it sounds like some 90s Tori Amos type of knockoff music, where like the only line that I can always hear is her saying, "Let's put the baby up for adoption." But it's like it's just like this like 90s, era of like Tori Amos level, or I'm trying to think of some of the other big, like, that kind of music from that era. It is what it kind of sounds like in the background, and it just makes me laugh every single time I get to it. And I just love the line where Liz is like, she dude, is his name Paul? Why did I just lose track of words?
I don't know.
Pete, not Paul, Pete. Oh, what has just happened in my brain? I literally just like shut down for a moment. Where Pete's like, he's shredding like an axe master, and then his hand cramps up, and he's like, do you have any Advil? And she's like, it's in my fanny pack in the fridge. And he's like, why is it in the fridge? And she's like, I like to keep my tampons cold. I'm just like, what? What a random thing.
The show is so weird, but yet impeccable. You know what I mean?
And I love when she's like putting it all together at the very end, and it's like all of them are involved with it. And she's like, the only thing I don't know is who is Anders? Was it a college pal of Toofer? Was it one of Jack's business friends? And he's like, he certainly wasn't a Swiss prostitute that Martha Stewart recommended. And then she's like, I'm just gonna pretend like I just got lucky.
Hell yeah. What a good show. But okay, also the fact that in the show that there is at one point the subtitle Clementine Squirts is very funny to me as a person. Like the way that like Alec Baldwin like has a cunty little purse of his lips eating a clementine is like actually kind of incredible. And that's all I have to say about that. So where are we going next?
All right, so next we are tackling. Yes, we are tackling. Wow, words are hard.
They are.
We are tackling misogyny in television with the episode 16, TGS Hates Women, which has some great cameos in it. And then episode 17, Queen of Jordan, which is...
I'm so excited.
Filmed just like a reality TV show.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited for you to see Queen of Jordan in particular. I'm really
very excited. I cannot wait.
And this is the end of season 5. We're going to be skipping to season 6 after this.
Okay.
So this is the final 2 episodes of season 5 that we're going to watch. And I really, y'all, if you guys are not following along, watch Queen of Jordan because it's an absolute delight. All right, but who are we chatting with on Monday, Mary Beth?
So on Monday we are chatting with Francesco Losciavo, the creator of Tales from the Void, which is currently streaming on Screenbox, and he brought with him 28 Days Later. Finally, we get to talk about 28 Days Later.
We talked about the sequel, and now we got to talk about the OG.
Oh, that's right. We talked about the sequel before we talked about the OG. God, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So, very excited about that. Yes, Purpurina, exactly. But listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch anything or play something that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have some suggestions for things we should be covering? You can let us know by sending an email to scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com or letting us know on social media. I am at mbmcandrews on Twitter and at mb.mcandrews on Instagram.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on social media at Scarred Podcast on Blue Sky and Twitter, and then at Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help support us, we do have a Patreon. And I just realized that The Good Time Garden by the same folks as Thank Goodness You're Here is actually free on Steam. So
neat.
If you want to kind of get a taste of the humor, I just added it to my library.
Hell yeah. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.